Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'll be going over my sixth and final round game from the 2023 US Go Congress from Kent, Ohio. Now, this opponent, Bo Luan, is actually somebody I've played before. I played them back in the, I believe, 2018 Go Congress. That was in Williamsburg. And funnily enough, that was also in the final round. And for that tournament, I was actually only 4 dan. I was entered as 4 dan, my ranking was 4 dan. And the reason I was paired with a 6 dan in the final round was my record was pretty good. I don't actually remember my exact record. Maybe I was 4-1 going into the 6th round. And my 6 dan opponent maybe wasn't doing so great. So that's how I ended up paired against the 6 dan. Now, in that game, I actually did end up winning. And so I felt pretty good being able to beat a 6 dan as a 4 dan. But the game itself was pretty poorly played by me. I basically only won because my opponent missed a life and death. Other than that, I was behind in the opening, I was behind in the middle game, and they just missed admittedly a pretty complicated life and death, so I was happy I was able to see it. But regardless, it was not a great game. I only won because of this life and death. So going into this game, same opponent, I was feeling pretty confident because even though that game was pretty poor, I was able to win as a 4 dan. But now I'm 6 dan. So if I was able to win, I guess 4 years ago as 4 dan, again in a very messy game, I was feeling pretty confident playing them in the final round here. But it is important to mention, and this was my closest game of the Congress. But that makes sense. I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, that makes sense because in a Swiss bracket, you're paired each round with somebody of a similar record, right? And so when you're starting out, even though we're all 5 and 6 dans, right, there's 5 dans that are weak, 5 dans that are strong, 6 dans that are weak, 6 dans that are strong. So the first round of pairing, even though we're all relatively the same strength, obviously there's going to be mismatches. But as people accumulate wins or losses, they're going to be closer to people of their level because you're going to play people that, I've lost a lot, but so has my opponent, or I've won a lot, and so has my opponent. So it makes sense for my final round game to be the closest because we were both 3-2 at this stage. So this is my most exciting game, and that was good because I wanted the last game to be a hard fight and to be exciting. And we were one of the last games. We got pretty far into the game, and because it was the Saturday of the banquet for the event was held in the same room as the playing hall. So as games were finished, people were supposed to take their boards and stones and move them. And so by the time my game finished, there was about 10 other boards still being used. And this is out of like 150-ish or so. But yeah, without further ado, let's go into the review. I am black. My opponent is white. And let's see what happened. So very standard opening. And here, you can just answer. There's nothing wrong with this move. But I decided let's just play elsewhere so I can get here. Play here. Sometimes I also like to favor this one. I believe this is very similar to my second round game where my opponent approached and then I played the 1 space low pincer, but just went here in this game. And so then my opponent kicked and then pincered. And so interestingly enough, at this Congress, this was my first time doing an AGA broadcast. If people are interested, I can put a link of that broadcast that I was in in the comments or in the description or something. Just let me know. But that game was the Pro Rengo. And so it was 2 pros, male and female, playing Rengo. And this board is actually very similar to that game. So I'd actually had commentary experience of a game very similar to this. In that game, it might not have been the upper left. Maybe white was F16, but it was something like black had this, white kicked, black pincered, white jumped, black jumped out. It was something like this. It was something like this. And so you can see compared to the game, when white kicks and pincers, I was like, oh, I'm actually somewhat familiar. Again, it's not the exact position, but I could take things that I learned from that, doing the commentary, and apply them, because I was able to do the commentary with Ryan Lee. And if you know Ryan Lee, or if you're in the AGA, you know Ryan Lee. If you don't know who Ryan Lee is, 4-dan professional for the AGA. So I guess now the NAGF. So yeah, white pincered. So I was able to get a lot of insight from him on kind of why the players were playing the way they were. But in the game, in the Pro Rengo game, white went here. In this game, white went here. And so it's slightly different. But again, from what Ryan Lee was saying, I kind of know what white's looking for and what black should be looking for. So I jump out. This is the move you really want to get when white is low. You're looking to shoulder hit here or attach here. Probably shoulder hit, though. Probably shoulder hit. So white prevents that. And so usually, like, this is the move, if this kind of shape comes up in my students' games, this is the move I recommend. But in the game, my opponent went here. And so basically, the point of this one is you're preventing any forcing moves black can get, as well as if you go elsewhere completely, black's looking to bump and then peep. And this is considered a very annoying move to deal with. So both of these moves prevent that, because both this move, this move, and this move are both ladder breakers after this. So if this sort of thing happens, if white can capture this stone, then this isn't really good for black. And so you see whether a stone is at D7 or D8, it's a ladder. And so that's why black actually plays here, to make it a ladder breaker for when black attaches here. So playing this move is the move I recommend. So why would white do this one? So this is more concerned with the left side. This is really trying to put pressure still on the black stones, but this is trying to, if black, let's say, does something like this, white can look to play this kind of capping move next. This is the follow-up I've seen from pro games. Whereas if you're here, obviously you can't go here now, so it's harder to develop the left side. But we'll see that white actually never gets that kind of move on the left side. And so I think white should have still just played here. Putting more pressure on the black stones here means the white stones are a little bit stronger. And we'll see that actually. So white goes there. Play here. Again, just like in the Rengo game, black's goal here is to surround white. So white comes up. Block. White attaches. And now white decides now's the time to attack. But I was really thinking white would just jump here, or just try to get out of harm's way. Just try not to get sealed in. Even just blocking here might be a little slow, but yeah, it solidifies white. So it's some move like this, but white goes straight to the offensive. So it might be a style difference between me and my opponent then. So here, attach. Again, even though white has the stone here. I'm using this not as like looking for the peep in the corner, but instead you'll see this move is assuming there's no cut on this side. Like, I'm fixing my cut here at e5. But as opposed to just connecting like this, well, white just gets initiative again in the center. So if I can connect like this, it's a lot more efficient than just connecting. And then here I even play again. And again, the idea is if white blocks, then I will block. And now I have this double tiger's mouth. Now again, imagine instead of the knight's move, white played the Kosumi. If we do the same thing again, not that I would do the same thing still, but if we do the same thing like this, white plays here, attach. Now I don't get that move at d7. Right? In fact, white has the stone at d7, so that means white could push and cut here if white chooses to. And here it looks pretty damaging. It means the best I can do is something like this, but that's not as forceful. White could just come out. So if white wanted to look to cut here, white should have played d7. If white was more concerned with the left side, this move's fine. But that means white shouldn't immediately look to cut here. That's why I think, based on how white played, white should just come out. Again, this is more focused on the left side, so white should use the stone to surround the left side. So I would just come out like this. So I play here, white Ataris. If I connect, I'm going to lose tempo again, because this Atari is, now it's not a tiger's mouth anymore, it's just a capture. So I would have to connect, but then again, white gets the initiative on this side. So in the game, I connect here now, but the difference is now I can threaten to come down. So white pushes up, Hane. Again, white also can't really cut because of the weakness on this side. What's the best move here? Atari? Maybe Atari here and then push? Something like this, right? I'm breaking up the left side. So in the game, white just Hanes. I stand up. And yeah, here, yeah, white connects there. I think white should just pull back like this. Yeah, what should black do here? Black really, this is a nice shape point to get, but if white can just connect, maybe it's not so bad. You don't want to do this one, I don't think, because your shape's pretty bad as black. But maybe it's also, if white has to extend, maybe it's fine. So maybe just cut, actually. But yeah, you'll see what happens is white connects, and I push down. Now I'm threatening to Atari this stone. I'm threatening to cut through. So white fixed. I think there's a chance white can do this one. But again, if I just, what's the move here? Atari here. Again, all of a sudden, I'm actually cutting off these stones here, and now white is as weak as I am. White is as weak as I am. So white plays here to try to stay connected with these stones, but I'm able to cut. So again, I don't think white needed to make these stones on the, I guess, the left side here. White Hannes. Just jump. Stands up. And so here, a lot of times players would just think about kind of shape, right? Like, okay, bamboo joint, that's the shape, so let's play it. But in this case, there's a reason why I connect here is because I'm actually thinking about liberties on these two stones. I'm thinking about liberties on these two stones. So I want to take away a liberty from these stones, and white still needs to add some move. So I can cut now. This is actually quite important to get because it creates a weakness here at m6, and later I can attach at h2. Okay, so here, this is a very important concept to know. It's the idea of forcing your opponent to play moves that help you. So for example, in this game, I play the shape point. If I just turn, white's going to take the shape point, and I don't really get as good of an attack. Like, I'm still going to cap here, but it's just not as severe because white makes good shape here. So in the game, I play here. But you might be wondering, okay, what if white separates you? That's what I want. I want white to push here because now, okay, I can capture these and you still haven't fixed your weakness here. White still hasn't fixed the weakness here. So even if white runs out, something like this, push again maybe. Do I cut or even can play this kind of move and now white is getting surrounded? Or maybe like this, something. And in some cases I can even just cut. Not sure though, because I don't want to give white a bunch of forcing moves. But it's possible, right? It's possible. Yes. So I play here. So then white knows that. So white doesn't do any of that. White just plays here. And again, this move might be a little too much. I think I should just cap. And when white comes out, then turn. I think this is more reasonable. I didn't want to see this move, though. I was treating this move as absolute sente. In some cases, it's not sente, though. And even in some cases, I can fix by going here. And so that starts to take away some eye space on white's lower side even. Yes. So, yeah. That's why I played there. Again, we're attacking for points, so this is securing my points in the lower side. So white comes out. And again, same concept. Cap. I want white to force me to play this move. So white plays here. And then I even clamp. And the clamp is a very severe move in this situation. If I just Hane, which might be the first instinct, white just covers and it's not great. It's not great. White has surrounded this stone, so that's an eye, and I have two weak groups. You can also think about cutting, but white, it'll be very similar. Even in some cases, well, this could be a semi-ish shape. Let's say something like this happens. Surround. Like if this sort of thing happens, I would have to connect here. And then white can attack me on the left side. So white could give up the two stones. So, yeah. This, I didn't actually want, basically I didn't want to capture these two stones. So I clamp. Now I cut. And then jump across. And here, this position is very complicated. And compared to my other game with Bo that I played in 2018, that game I was playing just so weird. I was sacrificing a lot when I shouldn't. Like the stones I was sacrificing, I shouldn't give up. And it was just pretty ugly. This game, though, you'll see is just so fight intensive. So fight intensive. So white Atari's here. And here. So the problem is there's a ladder here. So yeah. That's pretty difficult for white. So white goes here, but if white goes here, I can come out once. And I definitely should. Because this is sente, and then I can cut here, and now white has a choice. Well, I could just let you take a few stones, but this would mean, even I don't need to do that, this would mean these stones are captured, and I still need some move probably to capture these three. And it's hard for white to use this thickness efficiently. Okay, so what if white connects? Well, if white connects, I'll turn. This is threatening two ladders. Threatening these three stones in a ladder and these four stones in a ladder. So if white just jumps, this is a ladder. So the only way to prevent both is to Hane here. because now it's not a ladder here, and this ladder, now this is an Atari. But you'll see it'll become kind of like a cycle where, okay, this is still a ladder here, still a ladder here. Only way for white to prevent that is to Hane. Okay, well, I'll just do the same thing. And it's a cycle. Now, neither player would do this, but just to show you, like, okay, basically it means white can't save both sides. If white can't save both sides, then these stones die here, and it's pretty good for black. So, yeah, I don't think white can connect here. Don't think white can connect here. So white takes, and then play there. But yeah, so comparing this to the variation I was showing, is like this, I can capture this stone here, and that's a lot bigger compared to here. But it still is, I was feeling okay in this game. White turned, white played here. Or I turned, white played here. White Hanes, come out. Again, I can save these because remember my stone at 04? That's at the shape point. So white has to connect at some point. And again, like my connection here early on when I could have made a bamboo joint, it's the same idea here, where this is the better shape. But in this case, shape doesn't really matter. What matters is taking away this liberty, because that's what is going to help white in this fight, not making good shape here. So white, Atari. White really can't fight this ko, because it's a flower ko for me. Because if I win it, then these die, but if white wins it, it's a seki. So white goes there, and then I fix. There's a push and cut here, so I have to fix somehow. And remember, always envision, when you're thinking about, okay, I have a push and cut here to fix, what's the best way to fix? So like if I go elsewhere, I imagine white has already played this. Imagine white has already pushed but hasn't cut. So I'm envisioning this in my head. How would I fix this here? So there's a few ways you could fix. You could fix by going here. You could fix by going here. You could fix by playing moves like this even. You could fix Tiger's Mouth. So it's all about deciding what's important after white has pushed. And so a lot of players might just fix by going here, but no. Imagine your opponent has pushed. Even sometimes players will just fix like this, which it's better than just solidly connecting, but you really got to think efficiently. So this kind of move, this kind of move. Yeah, even playing moves like this means white can push and peep later. So that's why I think this one is for sure the best one. This one or potentially this one. So I fix. White pushes and jumps. Again, these stones are so heavy because if these die, then these die. So white needs these to stay alive to keep this a seki. But also, white needs to make sure these stay alive. Because if these die, then it's also not seki. So white has their hands full, and I was feeling pretty confident in this game already. Because while I haven't gained a lot of points either, these sides here, or black's corner here is maybe ever so slightly smaller than white's corner here, but my groups are more solid. So white has to fix, and then I jump down. Again, already I'm making points in the upper right. So white jumps. Again, these stones here aren't going to be making points. That's the problem for white. But because I jump down, I attach now, and again, white has to live now. Attach. And white played here. This was a big mistake, because it ends in gote for white. White should just do something else completely, I think. While it is painful if you do something else to allow black to go here, again, these three stones are so important because it keeps the seki alive. So even if this kind of thing happens, it's better to take the gote now than to take the gote here. Because here, yeah, it's just Sure, you got an eye now, but yeah, it just doesn't feel good to let black get sente like that. So, because remember, white could have earlier gone here and here to live 100%. So I was able to take that out in sente. So that's huge. And then come in. Like, there's a part of me that says, oh, just go here and make your points in the upper side and maybe something like this. These moves aren't so great, but just bear with me, something like this. And we'll go to an endgame. That's not the kind of game I like to play, because that means you have to be good at counting. Am I sure that I can get enough points in the upper right to combat Comey as well as the points white can make up top? I wasn't sure. So I just come in. Just come in. White pincers. I jump. White peeps. White jumps. I just connect. And white hanes, but just, again, just connect. White kicks. And again, in a lot of cases, you would want to answer this, but that's not what's important. So I pincer and attack this group here. So white stands up. So just fix. There's probably better moves than this. And I was thinking for a little bit. But yeah, like, because I can connect underneath any time. I don't think it's too vital for me to connect here. But I did. Again, I felt confident. Again, I can attack this. So just stay connected. Don't do anything crazy. White hanes. This is sente. It's a push and cut. So just fix. And then cover. And then white comes in even. And here, I wish I handled this a lot better than I did. Basically, white is not alive in the center. So I peeped. But I should just... Maybe that hane is okay. And even this push here. But basically, white's not alive here. So I should attack white. White doesn't have time to do anything here when all of this is dying. And I know white doesn't have an eye up top, so I don't need to worry about that. So I should just go full, I don't want to say crazy mode, but depending on how white plays here, it might affect how I will play in the corner. So I think I should just attack this directly. Cover. And yeah, here, because N12 is sente at any point, I should just descend. Put maximum pressure on this group. In the game, though, I just connect. White peeps. And then comes down. And I'm like, yeah, already I'm... Like, it's hard to find a way to attack white in the upper side. So I was pretty not super displeased, because I'm still going to get my forcing moves on the group in the center. But it could have been a lot better, I think. So I pull back. And yeah, here was another moment. This is the shape point of that group. I need to play this one. As soon as I went here and white kicked, I was like, oh man. I basically gave white 2 eyes. Very, very close to 2 eyes at least. Like, this is the shape point of the group. If white wants to push and cut here, I would let white. Because this is, again, allowing me to attack the white's upper right. So again, that concept I was talking about earlier, where playing moves that force your opponent to make you play moves that help you. So again, if white pushed and cut here, this is actually what I want. Yeah, this is what black wants. So yeah, play there. Yeah. So white got to hane and play here. But even after this, I was still feeling okay. But I was like, oh man, I just, look back here. White has a weak group in the center. And I have this potential in the upper right. How did white live in the center and in the upper right? So somewhere I felt pretty bad about it. But on the plus side, now white has a weak group here white needs to kind of take care of. So that means moves like this become more sente. Because now white needs to live on the bottom. So again, this game, I was feeling very confident. Because right now, at this moment, white has 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is, if white has to live with all of them, even if they live, they're not going to be that many points. So white has to play down, but I have moves like this that are sent towards this group. Again, if white hadn't made a group here in the upper right, this move would not be sent. But because white did, white needs to answer. So then I can kick. White plays here, that's sente. Just cover. Block. And then descent. White jumps. And then white goes here. So what white was looking at was there's still aji here. So moves like, I don't know the exact move, but I don't think I can do this directly. But if moves like this are sente, like black can make quite a few points on the left side. So that's why white wanted a pincer here. But again, okay, you left your corner open. Let me come in. So again, I was feeling very confident in this game. White played here, and I bump. I didn't want to do this because this would give white this peep in sente, and I didn't want to see that. Yeah, I didn't want to see that. So bump means I'm able to descend and or hane. It comes down and play here. Hane. For a split second when white threw in and then went here, I was like, oh man, did I mess up? But it's not a big deal. You got to be careful though. If you do this one, you're going to get a ko. Like this. So that would be bad. But you can just fix by going here. And so even though white makes my shape really ugly, I can still connect back because sente here and sente to cut. So white threw in, throws in again, but I can cut. And so all those throw-ins might have made it look like white got rid of like a lot of points, but because white had to throw in, maybe white even lost a point or two. It's hard to say, but I have 4 captures there now. So even though it looks like I have less points, I have captures now. And so again, white has to go here. So again, look at these groups white has. This upper left group, not that many points. This group here, not that many points. I can even reduce the lower left now. And here, this was a... Okay, I descended first. Descend again. Peep. Again, white has to live. So white just connects. I cover. That's not that big. Yeah. White connected there. Yeah, that one is definitely bigger. Attaching here. If white tries to connect, I can push first and then cut. Even like kick like this. Yeah, that's big up top. That's big. Reason why I did that though is this move is sente because I have to connect here. But even if I can, like, this is not that big. Upper side's bigger, so I agree with white's move here. Atari. And I played this one. I think this is the best black can get. Now, I'm not the best at life and death, but I was able to get Seki, basically, in sente. So I was pretty happy with that. And then push. This push is fine, but if you're going to push, I should at least do this one. Because white has a question now. Okay, white, do you connect here? Well, if you connect there, then I can hane here. If you connect here, then I can even cut. Maybe even right now, it's quite big. But you'll see later, white actually gets to protect both in a way I didn't see. So the fact I didn't see was actually not super great. So I attach here. White comes up, but I'm able to Atari here and connect. So white blocks. And so part of my thinking was I thought this was sente, but it turns out it was not sente, so white could push. So yeah, like right here, I can play here. I don't think white's gonna connect here and let me cut, so I should just push there. So that was a big endgame blunder by me, letting white get this, because white can throw in. I didn't see this throw in. and then can descend. And now I can never play d3. And I can never get it in Sente even, so... Or I can't even get it in Gote, I mean. So, yeah, it's a pretty big blunder. Now, there is still point value for h18. Push, push, connect. Just endgame stuff. Play here. White went here. Yeah, see, white throwing in meant white couldn't fight this ko. But if white hadn't thrown in and done all the throw-ins, white could just Atari, and when I connect, connect. Play there. Yep, so just endgame. And so I can go here. So the idea with this move is Sente. This one I made sure could kill. All you have to do is just... Nope, not that one. Cut first. White has to Atari somehow, and then just push here. And now black is... Or white's dead. Because if white takes, still a false eye. And if white goes here... Same move, just Atari, it's a false eye, because white can't connect here. Play like this. So if that moves Sente, the reason why it means I can go here is that white needs to be able to cut. And when white tries to capture, I can descend down to K19, and H19 is preventing white from playing J19. So that's why I'm able to go there. So again, even though I lost points here, it was still quite big for me to block here. So white pushes, and then plays here. So this is the last interesting part of the game, where I played here. Now, if I just do this, my thinking was, well, I didn't want to have to answer this. Because if I don't answer, Atari, and here you can see black gets captured on the right side. Now what this means is I should just do this because I can fix by going like here. It's simple. But in the game I went here saying, no, you can't. And I'm threatening to cut you here. And so in the game white pushes down, and I say, okay, I'm going to take these 8 stones or these 2. But white says, nope, I'm coming down. And so here, a potential trade could have happened, actually. Where I block here, and if white wanted to, white could have played this. And I was reading this, going here. Yeah, so the problem with going here is this is kind of the Tesuji you think about. But after the throw-in, if white takes, then it would work. But white can just connect here. And if black Atari's first, then white has enough liberties here to... White can even do this. And you can see white will have enough liberties to win this. So the tombstone doesn't work. But what does work is I can just Atari directly. This forces white to take. Now I Atari. And now I can play here in Sente. Because white has to play here. Then I can even descend in Sente. White has to capture, and then I can cut here. And believe it or not, this keeps the score relatively even. Even though white reduced me and captured some stones, I also capture some stones. So it keeps the score relatively even. Not enough to swing the game, at least. So after this, white decided to connect back and then connect. I think white should still do the other one, because at least this one, not that one, that would be too good for white. At least this one, white ends in Sente. But when white just has to connect back like this, I get Sente. So I think I fix at F1. No, do that one first, okay. And then F1, yeah. And white descends. And so we go into endgame, but the thing, again, look at white's groups. Upper right group, no points, Seki. This group here, 4 points. This group here, 3 points, 3-ish points. This bottom group, 5-ish points, 4-ish points. So, AKA, white's groups, the territory white made in the lower left, early on, like what, move 30, was majority of white's points. All the other groups of white had to struggle to live. And so I was counting, but I was pretty confident, like, yeah, I've won this game. Because if we imagine the lower left is roughly the same as black's lower right, white doesn't have points to compete with the top here, right? And even I got some points here, and yeah. So we played some endgame. Yep, endgame. Not super important. We literally play every point possible. And then when I went here, white resigned. So white resigned. Black's ahead by 14-ish points or so. So white resigned here. And yeah, I was super happy with how I played. It was a fight-intensive game. And that's the kind of game I enjoy. And you can see, even though white lived everywhere, you don't have to kill to win. You just need to squeeze them down and make their lives as uncomfortable as possible. So yeah, this was my final game from the Congress, and I ended up winning. And so I ended up being 4-2 in the 6-dan division. And I was super pleased. Winning record as my first tournament as 6-dan. Like, couldn't really ask for realistically more than that. And I'll post the tournament results in the video description if you're interested. I placed 4th in the 6-dan division. So I was 1 place away from placing top 3. And so, while it would have been nice to be top 3, I was like, yes, I got 4th place. And that meant I was also 5th overall for the entire Open. So, yeah, super pleased with how I played. And something that helped my score, by the way, was Tony Yang, my opponent from the second round. He ended up sweeping, going 6-0, and winning the entire tournament and, yeah, placing 1st in the 6-dan division, winning the Open. And so that meant I had a pretty good SOS, sum of scores, because he beat me. And so, even though I had actually lost to Justin in the 4th round, I actually outplaced him because I was fortunate enough to be in the path of Tony to his victory. So, yeah, at first I was like, oh, that's kind of strange, but since they do it based on sum of scores, I was like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. But yeah, 4th place, super happy. Really overall happy with how I played. Again, can't play perfectly, but compared to some other in-person tournaments I've been to, especially other congresses, I've had some worse games. So, yeah, feeling like the 6-dan was deserved from my last tournament, so feeling pretty good. So, yeah, I'll have the news article, or not even the news article, just a link to the tournament results, like the direct tournament results, in the description. As always, game records are in the description. I'll even include the AGA broadcast I was in with Ryan Lee for the Rengo game, Pro Rengo game. I think that'll be fun if people want to check that out. Yeah, but that is not all for Congress, because I played a pretty special game with a very special opponent at the Congress, and I want to review that game. So look forward to one more game from this Congress. After that, that'll be everything from the Congress, and I'll go back to making other videos from my other series. So yeah, thank you all for watching this video. Thank you for watching my journey through the Go Congress this year. Again, if you have any questions about the game, please let me know, and I'll see everybody in the next video.